I hope your day is going well. Mine has started off very weird today. And after yesterday's action was so wild and crazy. I guess it only stands to reason that this morning will be almost as wild and crazy. I just spoke with Larry Goldberg a few minutes ago, and I have quite a few updates from that conversation, in particular with regard to Cathie Wood and In the Know. They had technical problems last night, making it almost impossible to find In the Know, almost impossible to find that program that they released last night at around 11 o'clock Eastern. And as a result, last time I checked, only 55 people in the entire world had even seen that program. I found a way to watch it. I took my notes but Larry was unable to find it. And even the two of us then had trouble finding it after we got on a phone call from California to Paris. Anyway, I think now Larry needs to go through it. He needs to listen to it. He needs to do his notes, and then we will shoot that show, but we'll shoot it. And hopefully tomorrow morning, very early, we'll get that one done. And sometime around 8:15, possibly that will be available. Cathie is very clear. She did a 20-minute. This particular show is an hour and 20 minutes long. 20 minutes of that was on Tesla. It is very clear to Cathie and to her group that Tesla is going to $2,000 a share, not counting Optimus by 2027. They have also they've now assigned a TAM on the humanoid robot business at 24 trillion. Now, that TAM is about 2.5 times her TAM of 10 trillion on Robotaxi. Therefore, you might roughly estimate that the Tesla stock would go to around the $7,000 range after a significant deployment of Optimus on the level that she's talking about with Robotaxi, with about the same market share, et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of pulling it out of the air number, not even quite reaching the level of napkin math, but it's some kind of an idea from the way Cathie thinks and the way the multiples work, that Tesla's stock would be at around $7,000 by 2027, assuming a rollout of Robotaxi this year, next year, a rollout of Optimus next year, the following year. We could be looking at those kind of numbers. Well, okay, now the Tesla community, of course, is all over the place this morning, covering, analyzing, and speculating about what the heck is going on with Gen 3 vehicle plans, and also about the August 8th unveil. Now, if you didn't hear about either one of those things yesterday, let me just give you a quick recap. Reuters came out yesterday morning and said that Tesla was canceling the Generation 2 vehicle, at least the consumer version of it, in order to concentrate on an autonomous version of that Gen 2 vehicle. This 15 minutes later, Elon Musk shot that down and said that Reuters was lying. I then spent a great deal of time thinking through all of that, and I realized I think that it was half a lie. Reuters was half lying. I posted a tremendous amount about this yesterday, that Reuters had part of it right, and that is no, there will not be a vehicle made in China. There will not be a consumer version made in China. The market there is there's too many players already in that $25,000 price point and lower. It would be a difficult business to compete in and make any money at. And so why would they bother when they got so many other irons in the fire? But there was nothing to suggest that all of the information that we had recently about making the Gen 2 vehicle on the consumer platform in Austin, in Mexico, in India, and in Berlin, all of those things, as far as I'm concerned, are still on the table. And I think that's what Elon meant when he said they were lying. They got the story partially right, and then they leapt to a conclusion that they should not have leapt to. Then the August 8th information that I mentioned above is that on August 8th, there will be a Robotaxi unveil by Tesla. That is very complicated. We'll talk about that more in just a second. Well, no, I'll talk about it now. So that unveiling Robotaxi is a very broad statement. It could have many potential meanings. We really only way we can even guess what that means is by connecting other dots, because unveiling Robotaxi could mean a Robotaxi vehicle prototype. So that could be the unveiling of a vehicle, the actual physical vehicle, or it could mean that they may not be unveiling any kind of vehicle this time. They're only going to unveil some kind of a system, a network, or an app. It could mean that there will be a robotaxi network or system deployed or going to be deployed at some point immediately in one location, or it could mean it will be released later more broadly. There might, and then there might not be a picture of even a robotaxi vehicle. It might just be about the system or the app, or it might be both, or it might be something else entirely. But those seem to me to be the most obvious possibilities. A picture or a prototype, a working model, something like that, a physical product, the app or the method that the network, the way that the system is going to work in some kind of a estimation of deployment, or there might not be an estimation of deployment. Here's the app, here's how it's going to work, and we're going to deploy it someday. Or it could be, here's the app in the system, and it'll be available starting tomorrow or starting a year from now. I mean, so many possibilities. So let me know what you think. But Larry and I talked about it. We spoke at some length about the drama. And he had some agreement with me that the consumer version of the Gen 3 platform may not be built in Shanghai. No statement that I or he could remember has ever been made about building the Gen 3 vehicle. I mean, okay, if you go back about 5 years ago, they talked about that they would have their own design center. They have a design center in Shanghai, and they would be designing products just for the Chinese market. And that might include a lower priced vehicle like the compact. I mean, I'm going to say that's, I don't know, a long time ago that was being talked about. But since then, when more details have been known, et cetera, there's no discussion of expanding the Shanghai plant, building a second Shanghai plant, building another plant in China. No more conversation about actually building the Gen 3 vehicle in China for the purposes of a consumer car. However, nothing has changed with regard to the other facilities. We seem to be in almost perfect alignment and agreement on that. Now, maybe Larry will change that when we talk on Monday. Maybe he'll say, no, Randy, that's not what I meant. Anyway, 5. So I'm quoting Larry here. I'm doing my best, Larry, honest, to say what I heard, what I think I heard you say. He didn't agree with me at all regarding my ideas that the rollout of the Robotaxi through Uber, which was one of the ideas I threw out yesterday, through Uber or by Tesla by themselves at the unveiling on August 8th, he thinks we're still a year away from FSD being capable of Robotaxi. For my part, I think the iterations are going to be super fast. As I said yesterday, I think there's a very good chance that Elon is driving a car right now, and maybe the professional drivers at Tesla are driving a car right this minute that is virtually 100% ready to go as a taxi, but they want to spend another 3 or 4 months driving it to make sure that it's not doing anything really stupid. That's my theory. Now, you could also go with a theory that would be like that, which would be, we've got it 99.9%, but we want another 9. And that would be all the edge cases. That would be weird situations. That would be more training in simulation. All kinds of things that they might want to continue to work on before this August 8th date. But I really have a strong sense that by August 8th, we are going to have a vehicle that will be capable of driving itself without anybody in the car. That's a strong sense. It may not even mean that Tesla will be ready to say that it's no longer needs to be supervised other than in a robotaxi environment. I don't know, all kinds of possibilities. So I think very close to having a deployable car. Larry also says that there's going to be other issues. So there's been this argument going back and forth about regulators and regulations and who is going to be who needs to say yes before a robotaxi can be deployed in Phoenix or in Austin or in, St. Louis or whatever. How will all that be decided? Well, Larry's statement, I said, hey, all kinds of people yesterday on X saying there's no laws in 17 states and there's laws in 7 and then some other state. Anyway, there's all kinds of possibilities here that some states have no laws that cover this. There is no federal law that covers this. Larry says, and I'm going to try to quote him accurately here, is that a licensed driver needs to be behind the wheel in every single state. So there's an interesting version that nobody's been talking about. I haven't seen that mentioned in X at all. So thank you, Larry, for bringing that up for the first time. So if you need a licensed driver, now you could say that every single state has some kind of authority or rule. Tesla could go ahead and just go for it, especially in Florida, Arizona, and Nevada, which seem to be very anxious to get into the robotaxi business. But then he says, okay, we've got taxi commissions, we've got city regulators, we've got regional regulators, we've got insurance companies that are going to want to have a say in this. Well, now Tesla's self-insured. So Tesla's not got a problem, but Uber, if in fact there ends up being an Uber deal, Uber is probably not self-insured. And so their insurance companies might have something to say about whether a car can go out with no driver in the seat, in the driver's seat. So I think that, and Larry, by the way, loved the idea of an Uber partnership and hopes that's the way things go. Because why? I mean, Uber's already got the systems, they already got the apps, they've already got the market, and Uber wants to go into the business of autonomous vehicles doing the work instead of drivers. And the drivers who own these cars, I'm sure they'd be thrilled to send their cars out and they could go do another job at the same time or send out a second car and a third car, etc., because they are also used to the system. So there's huge benefits to having an Uber partnership, and hopefully that's the direction this is going to go. So if we want to really dial it back and say, okay, this might be what is maybe in the middle again of what I'm saying in terms of being super optimist and Larry's saying in terms of being super careful, maybe this is a situation where it will still be supervised drivers, which is happening now, by the way. There are Uber drivers right now, they're talking about it on X, Uber drivers right now who have their passengers come into the car. They say to the passenger, by the way, I'm on version 12 of Optimus, of FSD on this Tesla. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to let the version 12 run this particular ride. Is that okay with you? And then they go ahead and do it. And of course, these people are amazed and a lot of conversation, kind of fun for everybody. Not 100% sure whether Uber is good with that, but so far Uber hasn't shut it down. So could we get into a situation starting August 8th where that would be kind of the rule? All of the Uber drivers out there who already have Teslas could now begin to be supervising the ride in a much more hands-off way, maybe getting more and more hands-off month by month or week by week as Tesla says, okay, now you can go to this level, and Uber agrees and the insurance company agrees. Now, there's some, Larry said when we talked about that part of it, he says, well, maybe that would still require some decisions by cities or states. And I agree with him. It could. And especially in California, which seems to have a lot of regulation now. New York has just put in a new commission. Some states might be heavily concerned about whether you could even do that. But I think that would be the amazing and almost perfect, can't imagine that a great transitionary way to get this thing done. All the players are in place. Anyway, that's where I am. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think I'm right? Do you think Larry's right? All right. Or do you think this compromise version with Uber supervised rides on the app starting in August, and then additional vehicles being able to be added to the fleet in that way, understanding that eventually the supervisor can be taken away, that the seat will be empty. All right. So that's where we are on all that stuff. A couple of other things this morning. Farzad said this morning that Robotaxi will kill public transportation, in his opinion, to which Elon replied, yes. Okay. So later on this morning, we're going to have Cern around noon. We'll put up his video that we shot a couple of days ago. We keep putting it off. It's an amazing video. You got to watch that video coming up later today. We will also have the regular news coming up much later today, say around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock California time. And then tomorrow morning, with any luck at all, around 8:15, Larry and I will finally go over the Cathie Wood report. And who knows, it may be the one that gets more views. We'll get more views this month than Cathie got, because nobody's watching the one that Cathie actually did. So, and yesterday, we had all those videos yesterday that were super important. I will put up 2 of those 3. I will put the one that talks in much more detail about the whole issue of the model, the Gen 3 vehicle, and the one that talks in way more detail about what's going to happen with robotaxis. I'll put those two cards up right here if you want to go back and check those out. All right. Well, until we talk later, as always, it has been great talking to you.